Hello there. Welcome back to the Haas Hard Challenge. We are about to continue. We're about to start round 6, but honestly, so far, it's gone pretty well for us. We have 32 points. We are firmly in 5th ahead of Alpine. And honestly, if we continue having good performance here, we could potentially threaten Merck a little bit. But honestly, the goal for the first season is going to be to just make the board happy so we don't get fired and basically develop our car for next year. We are also going to keep on upgrading some of our facilities here. Unfortunately, I would really like to upgrade this factory one more level, but because we are, do a sponsor obligation, we can't. So we're going to have to wait a little bit. We are upgrading our helipad, our race sim, our team hub, and we are going to be spending money this year on upgrading these things. But we'll also be saving up some money towards the end of the year to kind of rush out new parts for the 24 season. So with that said, we are basically just ready to continue. The goal of this series will also be, of course, to get Hulkenberg a podium or hopefully a championship and a few wins. So that should be fairly doable. So helipad has been made. We have the suspension made as well. And we do want to upgrade the helipad. It's something that I actually forgot at the start of the series. It's been a while since I've actually started a series proper with no facilities. But again, you want to upgrade this one. Sponsored targets payout. This thing basically pays for itself very quickly. So there's no reason not to upgrade it, so to speak. They've also changed the tour center. Before it had upkeep, it does not any longer. So feel free to upgrade this thing as you see fit as well. Now, as I said, we do want to upgrade the factory once more to level 3. And with level 3, you get force loss, which will be more than enough for most incidents. And that is usually where I would park the factory. So we'll get it once more. If we start upgrading something else, it's probably going to be the car part test center and then the suspension sim. But I think we'll hold off a little bit longer. We don't really need to start upgrading this just now. Mainly due to the fact that we aren't really going to be making much, if any, parts here. We are making the final set of the designs here, so to speak. And then we're going to go over to research. And after we made these, we are not going to be making any possible benefit from that facility upgrade. So we'll wait a little bit longer with that. We do have a rear wing design here now finished, which is going to be pretty good. And we'll be able to actually make them all before the race. But as you can see here, due to the, what's it called? The sponsorships that we have, what should take 12 days is taking 19 days. So we definitely need to try and get rid of those sponsorships as soon as possible. Because that is quite painful, let's be honest here. Now, in terms of what we want to do for research, we are getting hit by the downforce here. Not really a big deal for the rear wing, honestly. So we'll basically be focusing on the front wing, the underfloor and suspension for getting research done. But getting a few boosts here on the chassis, for instance. As you can see, the drag reduction is falling behind, so we could boost that a little bit for next season. Basically boost what is falling behind if we wish. But for now, I think we're still going to be focusing on getting the stats that matter up for our sake. Although this is taking the parts that we currently have in the car basically into account a little bit as well. So for now, let's put in a rowing research. I think we are just going to maximize this for next year. And again, low speed, medium speed. It's not a big deal to not focus this on your rowing. It would be nice to, of course, get a boost. But I think that it's going to be more viable for us to do it like this. Get the top speed, DRS effectiveness up a little bit for next year, and then maybe we'll focus low speed, medium speed, and the high speed losses here towards the end of the season. So probably a little bit counterintuitive there, but your rear wing is not a huge source of cornering. It's a decent source of cornering, don't get me wrong, but we are going to specialize it in the sense of DRS effectiveness and top speed. Reduce factory event obligations. This is the ones that we want to get rid of. The race day factory events too. As you can see, we're going to have this deal with this the entire year. And one of the spots asked if we can reduce. Okay, so this is one that we can actually reduce the factory events without getting any problems. So we'll take that. That's good. We got that cut down to 15. But hopefully by the end of this season we can get rid of them altogether. That would be the best thing we can really hope for. Now, side pods are in low stock, but I believe we are... Nope. But we are going to need to make new parts anyways, but let's be fair here. We can get a side pod made before hopefully the race weekend. So let's go ahead and make one more. 11 days. So it'll take a couple of days after we actually get that those two projects done, but we'll just have to live with it as things currently stand. Under full has been manufactured. I believe this is just an extra one, so that we basically have some to spare. And this is basically what you'll be struggling with at Haas, particularly early season, getting things slightly upgraded. Now, the race sim here, I do want to upgrade it again, but we also do have a little bit of a money concern. But I think we can go ahead and upgrade both of these probably to level 3 this year, and then keep on working on them next year. Money isn't really too much of a problem here either, incidentally. And if we were to upgrade this one, it would cost 150,000, increase of 25,000 weekly income. So, take us about 6 weeks to pay off, 1.5 months. We'll go ahead and do that upgrade as well. Basically free money, so we'll definitely take that. Helipad, once again, we do want to max this one as quickly as possible, and we will not have any massive costs going forwards. So, having a little bit risk on money, you want a 10 million buffer, just in case you have a really, really bad crash. But this early in the season is not really a huge concern. Let's go and upgrade the team hub once more. And as you can see, the team hub actually gives some pretty decent team attractiveness boost, a little bit of morale. But the weekly development is definitely what we are, paying most attention to there. For Emilia Romagna here, I think we can gamble on having one car in the top 10. And one car in the Q3 should be possible. Could be a little bit risky to do like that. But we'll split it a little bit like this. So both cars into Q2, one car into Q3. And again, it's probably just me being a little bit passive, but I'd rather guarantee some money than get into trouble. And it's an ATA qualifying weekend, meaning that the first Q1 is hards, Q2 is medium, and Q3 is softs. We're also going to have rain, so that's going to make things a little bit interesting there as well. For now, though, we will go ahead and place that new part on the car. Just want to make sure that we have every best part put on. And as you can see here, the increase here from this new rear wing is actually quite massive. It's going to boost us 10 places in terms of DRS effectiveness, 4 places in terms of top speed, and we can actually have a look at how our car stacks up against the other cars now as well to compare. If we go into the car analysis. So currently we have the best DRS on the grid. We also have close to the best cornering ability. We're going to get a little bit more low speed cornering, medium speed cornering once we get that front wing done. And the top speed is suffering, but that is actually just a part of how we built the car. We're just going to have to deal with that. Brake cooling, engine cooling, both of these are decent. We're looking decent for dirty air tolerance as well, so no real concerns there. So yeah, once we get that front wing, and I think we were making another suspension, weren't we? Yeah, that front wing suspension. Both of these will be huge for the low speed cornering ability, and probably a little bit of brake cooling there as well. So yeah, not bad at all. For now, though, let's jump into the next race weekend and see if we can snatch some more points. So we've had an incredibly good quali here. Now remember, before anyone says anything, qualis are not affected by the changes in difficulty, so doesn't really matter. The difficult changes here, qualis are still going to work the same as they did before. But we managed to get Hulkenberg on the front row, Magnussen second row, a little bit helped by the rain here, let's be honest, because of the fact that everyone just did one run. But the car now is actually quite good. It is actually quite competitive. And we had pretty decent results for Q1 and Q2 as well. As you can see here, times aren't that far off. Q1 here was with the hard tires. Q2 was actually with inters, which is why everyone was slower. And then we have the Q3 times here on the soft tires. We are 3 to 4 tenths behind Verstappen. Unsurprisingly, I might add. But we are surprisingly ahead of the Ferraris and ahead of the Astons. So if we develop the car a little bit further here, particularly with a couple of new upgrades, we might just keep the split 50-50 to make that happen. But potentially here we could fight for maybe something even higher than 5th, 4th, maybe even 3rd. But it does kind of put us in a bit of a squeeze in terms of the situation here. So what we're going to do here for Imola, it's not going to be raining, so we'll just have a quick look here at the tires. And I probably haven't actually mentioned this properly in this series, but the way that you can calculate or kind of get a gist of how effective a tire is going to be compared to a different tire is by taking the average lap here. Take the difference for the soft to the medium, it's a little bit less than 3 tenths. And then we have a look at the time loss from degradation difference, which is 200s. So let's say it was full 3/10 here, 200s degradation. It would take 15 laps of running standard for the softs to become, for the mediums to become equal to the softs in terms of lap times. So the softs will have a bit of an advantage for 15 laps, then the mediums will take over. And you can basically do that fairly simply here. Same here for the medium to hard, 2.5 10s, 200s degradation, so 10 to 15 laps. And what this tells us is that because the difference here before the hards kind of overtake the mediums here, it'll just take 15 laps for the hard to overtake the mediums. You're probably going to be running at them for far longer. The harder isn't too bad of a tire. And that's kind of what you need to take into consideration, pit stops. But in the current meta, so to speak, the best way to do things is actually by doing the most aggressive strategy that you can. This is a fairly basic one-stop. It's estimated to take 121. But if we were to, say, take a two-stopper here and turn it into a very aggressive thing, we actually have an extra set of hards, we have extra sets of mediums. They didn't actually get used in Q2 because of the fact that it was raining. We can actually do a fairly aggressive move here by doing something like this. Of course, this is riding the edge here, but until you hit this 30% mark, degradation isn't playing too much of a role if you're running a maximum pace strategy. And as you can see here, it's about 18 seconds quicker. And this takes into account the pit stops as well. It does take into 24-second loss here, 24-second loss here, and even then, it is 18 seconds quicker than a one-stop. Of course, you can push these tires a little bit more. You will have to at the start of the race if you want to keep your position. But this kind of tells you what you can expect. And feel free to mess around with this, of course. One of the things that I enjoy doing, particularly if I don't have a lot of decent tires, for instance, is that I will go ahead and switch things around in the sense that we might start on the mediums, we'll do another full attack medium, but I don't really want to use the hards. What you can do instead then with the soft tire is actually running a little bit more conservative, because you don't really lose too much tire, doing this to a soft tire. So if you need to, you can actually turn a soft tire into a pseudo hard tire by just running it on conserve, or even on, as you can see here, full conserve. I think that's light, yeah, or even standard here. And as you can see, it's actually quicker to run this on, well, light, turning it into a hard tire. But keep in mind that if they become too cold, this might not work. But it is a way to kind of create a hard tire if you're lacking one, if you have a bunch of softs. And this can be used on most tracks. Excuse me. Now, we're probably going to do this strategy for both drivers. It's just the simplest thing here. You might be tempted, of course, to start on a soft tire. The reason why I have elected recently, at least, to not do that is incredibly simple. By starting on a soft tire, we can actually also do this. It's actually a little bit quicker because we are running attack and we don't need to worry about degradation that way. So we might very well end up doing something like this, although Magnussen has used a little bit more of his hard tire, so it's actually kind of slower. But we have the option, if we see degradation is higher, we'll just put Magnussen onto a hard tire. If it's as expected, we'll just keep him on the medium. So we have options for both kind of scenarios here. I'm pretty sure for Hulkenberg, this isn't actually showing him using the used hard, which is a little bit problematic. There we go. Suddenly it's 3 seconds slower. But again, you just need to make sure that you check that out before you do anything with the tires in mind here, particularly on the ATA weekends. But yeah, we have the option if we see higher degradation on the medium and the hard than we expected. If it is lower than expected, we'll run Magnussen's. If it's higher than expected, we'll run Hulkenberg's. And both of those strategies are decent, let's be honest. They are probably the quickest we can pull out of the hat here. This one too is decent. Again, if you're lacking hard tires, we aren't really here. It's probably going to be even quicker if we say slap in the hard tire here and move the soft tire more to the right, like so. So as you can see, there's plenty of time to be found within the strategy manager, so to speak. With that said, let's jump into the race. And this should be an interesting one because we are starting second and fourth, which honestly has me a little bit surprised. So we have a soft tire. I can imagine Paris is going to just overtake us. We do want to turn on rarely defend immediately. Just lowers risks. And I do enjoy using battle assist. It's just more helpful to me.
Okay, random mode push. Yeah, copy.
That is a decent start. We are still, you know, staying with Perez, which is kind of what we like to see. But he should be getting us here on the inside corner, so he did have a little bit of an advantage. But the fact that we hold on to our positions is massive. There's just 2 cars on soft tire, everyone else is on the medium. So honestly, a really, really good start for us here. Now, the track is a little bit hotter than anticipated, which is what this red number signifies. So as a result, we could see a little bit higher degradation than we expect. We'll have to look out for that. Or rather, not the track per se, but the air temperature. But this is a decent start, and honestly, I think Verstappen is gonna. We just don't have any chance of fighting him. He's just that much quicker than us. But we do now have a chance of using Paris as a bit of a tow. If we can create a gap to the Ferraris, to the Mercedes, which is kind of happening already, then we definitely are looking to potentially having an incredibly good race here. We have created that gap to Leclerc right now. He might close that down, though. He kind of is, so it's a little bit on the edge. We don't have very good dirty air following, so Magnussen here is kind of in a bad position. Let's be honest. Perez has overtaken us, but hopefully, if we can stay with him to that DRS zone, it's still going to be okay. But honestly, he's just pushing pretty aggressively now, and that is kind of what you expect on hard, that they'll use their tires for all they're worth and create a little bit of a DRS zone. But the AI is usually very aggressive within the first 10 laps or so I'm fine with this. It's still a great spot for us to be in. We are basically net second right now in terms of team, and we'll keep this running until we get close to our first pit stop. So far, degradation doesn't look too bad, but we should probably have a look here at the tires. 125 degrees is maximum. So we are running the tires here a little bit too hot, and we are probably going to have to tune them down to aggressive at the current moment. The reason for that is the second we hit maximum, which is 125 degrees, what's going to happen here is that we start losing a lot of tire wear. And you can kind of see it already on Magnussen here. Probably a little bit difficult, but it is starting to dip more aggressively down. And if we let him run at this temperature for a few more laps, we are going to be losing out. And even running aggressive here, you can see that the temps are quite high. But for now, it seems to be kind of alright. But definitely running full attack here would not work. On a positive note, we have left Russell and Hamilton behind. There's some gaps forming, and that's going to be nice when it comes to getting pit stops done. The fact that Hülkenberg is running with Perez is nice, but unfortunately that is putting Magnussen in a bit of a tight spot here with the Ferraris. But we'll keep on fighting. We'll probably run down to 1.6 kilograms worth of fuel, and we'll see exactly where we stand once we get close to that first pit stop, and we'll keep on managing the temperatures here so degradation doesn't get out of hand. We have unfortunately had a bit of an incident here with Hülkenberg. Okay, I didn't get to see the replay. That's fine, I guess.
I don't understand what's going on.
I assume Hülkenberg crashed with a Ferrari because Magnussen seems to be fine. No, he crashed with Perez for sure, because Perez has also lost positions. Okay. We have a busted front wing, so I assume Hülkenberg ran into the back of Perez, which is pretty unfortunate. And the confidence does tell that same story. He's lost all of his confidence. It's going to hurt his stats very much. Very high chance of an incident. And this can happen. It's just unfortunate. The question now is, what do we do strategy-wise? And I think the idea here now is going to be to go onto the hard. It's either that or we jump onto a medium. Jumping onto a soft is not really going to cut it here. We're going to jump onto a hard. We're going to run this into the ground. Then we're probably going to need to jump onto a medium and then a soft. Or, you know, turn a soft into another hard. We'll have to see here. Because the hard tires really only shine in this game when you do run them on attack. So that is a bit of an issue. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's definitely Hülkenberg running into the back of Perez there. It's a shame that we didn't get to see the actual event, so to speak. I hope we're switching that front wing. I would think we are. Unless I was silly. Yeah, we are. Good. Perez got the penalty, so that's a bit weird. But the reason why we're pitting Hülkenberg here too onto a new one is, of course, the fact that he has damage to the front wing. That shouldn't come as a surprise. But mainly the fact that by pitting him now, he'll have a bunch of fresh air, he can attack, and by the time he gets up to the back of some of these cars, stage 2 should be starting to get ready for pitting. So Overtake should be easy. He should be able to regain some of his confidence by overtaking slower back markers. And apparently the stand here is getting jiggy with it, but that's just how we're going to have to deal with this. Now, Magnussen is running still for a podium, so it's not all bad. But it's a bit of a shame, because that was we had a pretty mega start here. But I think Hulkenberg might actually be able to, you know, get something out of this still, if we get a well-timed safety car. But for now, we'll keep on working it. Magnussen will just stay where he is, running with the Ferraris. Doesn't really have any other choice at this moment, and we'll try and get something done here during the pit stops. But as you can imagine, we're going to be pitting earlier than the others. We could get stuck. Perez, Russell, both of them are going to be pitting alongside us though, so it's not all bad. Hulkenberg has just made his way back up to the back of the grid, well, Piastri in this case. Magnussen is getting ready for his pit stop now, which is what we are going to be doing. And as you can see, it's estimated to come out 14th. That shouldn't really be too much of a problem though, but as you can see, the Ferraris have kind of started pulling away. At this point, they too are pushing their tires, so probably pushing for a pit stop of some kind. But yeah, Hulkenberg now should hopefully be able to push a little bit further up, so he might be able to jump some of these cars once he actually ends up pitting. That's going to be the goal. Perez pits with us, but he has the penalty, so unless we have a massive error, that shouldn't be an issue. And Albon here is going to sneak out ahead of Magnussen, but this is pretty straightforward here. Just overtake with DRS. Shouldn't be a problem. Unfortunately for Hulkenberg, he didn't actually get out ahead of Perez here. Because, well, needed to change that front wing. It's getting a little bit stuck behind other cars. But we'll keep on working him up the grid again. And hopefully we'll be seeing something good before too long. For Magnussen, he has gotten Albon. And again, it's just the same. Overtake Gasly, then work from there. And we can definitely push these cars full aggressive without losing too much in terms of tire wear. We've had an incident here. Multiple cars have crashed. I'm a little bit unsure who. But it's actually Perez. And he has potentially taken out the Mercury for us. Nah, just a little bit of a wheel banging. Nothing's too serious. But yeah, Hulkenberg is running in that train. So he's making his way forwards. But unsurprisingly, it is taking time to get things done. So we're still working on it. Magnussen is up in 7th. Everyone ahead is going to have to pit. So potentially here, could come out ahead of Leclerc, but probably is going to come out in 3rd after the first set of pit stops here. Nothing really too surprising about that. But Hulkenberg here, as you can imagine, is going to have a little bit of work ahead of him. We have a 2-man train ahead of us as well. And hopefully now we can actually get out ahead of the cars that have pitted. But unfortunately, that was not the case. Ocon, Stroll, Alonso, all of them have pitted out ahead of us, which is not great for Hulkenberg. It's going to make his life a lot harder, let's put it like that. But if he can get some overtakes, create a little bit of gap for himself, that would be big. But for now, we're just going to harvest and then see if we can, you know, get a chance to get an overtake done. For Magnussen, he is getting close now to the point where he's probably going to jump Sainte as well. But I would assume everyone here is actually going for a one-stop with the exception of Perez and Norris. But yeah, everyone on the hard here does tell the story that this is going to be a one-stop race. So for Hulkenberg, again, we're just going to keep on working him forwards. Magnussen, we are going to need to do one more stop. But I think he is currently in prime position to get a podium. So we'll just leave him where he is, which is in the dirt. So maybe not as prime anymore, but still has potential. But that's just unfortunate. Did get minor damage to the underfloor. That's gonna suck. We're basically throwing away every single chance that we have here.
Stand by.
Yeah, this basically is right now a bit of a throwaway race. Because this is probably the best chance that we've had to score massive points. And both cars have had incidents. Magnussen here with underfloor is going to be pretty bad. Bit unfortunate. We've done a couple of pit stops here. Hulkenberg had to go into a medium. We're going to be pushing very aggressively to try and make something out of it. This still. He's currently in 11th. Magnussen is currently doing his final pit stop. And should be coming out here potentially in 9th. Which is going to suck a little bit, but I think we can get the overtakes done. Because of the issue, though, we had to put him onto a scrub hard. But as you can see, Russell, a lot of these cars here are getting lower, and that shouldn't be an issue.
Now this was at turn 3. And nearly.
Okay, Magnussen runs over the strips there. Could potentially eat, take some more underflow damage, but I think he'll be fine. Hard tire here, unless we have an incident, should be okay to run full attack till the end. And Hulkenberg here is going to need another pit stop, which is going to suck, again, massively. But it is what it is. And we'll just have to deal with the situation that we've been given. But, looking at things from a positive side, since we qualified 2nd and 4th here, Monaco could be very, very interesting.
There's a yellow flag now.
Is it Russell? It is. Some minor wheel banging, unfortunately. You can even see our car there with Magnussen. Magnussen, I guess, applying some pressure.
Mode push now.
Yeah.
And Russell actually opts to pit here. That makes life a little bit easier because Magnussen now just needs to fly by Ocon, which he might actually pull off if we give him some deploy.
Mode push.
And he does, in fact, pull that off. Now, as I said, the problem with Hulkenberg is that we aren't going to be pitting again. It's just the nature of the incidents. Although, to be fair, I probably could have run him on the hards there and made something happen. But I just want to try and push as aggressively as we can to try and make something out of this. Now, Magnussen is currently running quicker than anyone ahead of him. But I think it's going to be a little bit too much to ask maybe to catch Sainz. 20 seconds. So, I think the goal here will be to catch Hamilton and secure a 4th place. And for Hulkenberg to potentially just get inside of the points. So, we'll have to see. It's going to be a rough rest of the race here for both of our cars. We're getting ready for Hulkenberg's final pit stop, but I just did a small error. I ordered him a little bit too late, so he wasn't supposed to do this lap. He was supposed to pit. Now, in theory, this is also going to be a couple of seconds quicker than the current tire. And if you consider it from the standpoint, oh, the pit stops are 24 seconds. If it's just going to be 2 seconds quicker a lap with 10 laps to go, that isn't really going to benefit him, is it? Not really if you look at it from that perspective, but there's a different perspective to look at it from as well. Everyone around us is on very old hard tires. The tires aren't going to just be 2 seconds quicker than everyone else's. He's going to be more than that due to the fact that he is running on a soft tire, full attack, versus older used hard tires. So he's probably going to be snatching that fast lap from Magnussen, who is currently getting into position here to launch an attack on Hamilton. And he's actually just getting the overtake done a little bit earlier than I wanted him to, because the goal here was actually incredibly simple. If we could have gotten him to pull away on the straight here, could deployed, gotten away, created a bit of a gap. And we have now 10 laps to catch Sainz if we want to try and pull that off. I don't think it's viable. It's going to be difficult, but there's nothing else we can really do about it. And as you can see here on the first proper lap, 15.2, he's running 3 seconds quicker than Leclerc. He's running almost 3 seconds quicker than Hamilton. So, as you can imagine here, he's running a lot quicker than some of these cars. Ocon, 3.7 seconds. So, within 5 or 6 laps, he's going to make up that pit stop versus some of the cars in front. But, of course, Russell, the gaps there, it's just a little bit too much probably to deal with, but we can always hope. For Magnussen, the goal now is probably just going to be to stay where we are. He's gaining 1.4 seconds a lap, but that is with energy. Not going to be gaining that much without, energy to use, so that's going to be a little bit worse. For now, though, we're just going to have him try and secure that 4th place. And I'll be working on getting Hulkenberg back up into the points in the meantime. Here we are. Hulkenberg has just got the overtake done on Gasly, which puts him back up into the points.
It's there for the taking.
So, job's getting done. And I don't think we're going to be able to catch Perez or Ocon here. But Hulkenberg has 3 laps when he gets to the line. So potentially here, could get a little bit more out of this race. Now we do have a little bit of a fuel concern here, let's be honest. But we can just recharge on the final lap here. We can even recharge behind Perez right now. And then go for getting him with DRS. That's going to have to be the play here, I think. So getting into that final corner, deploy, put it back to balanced. And we'll try now with DRS to see if we can fly by Paris. And we can, so that is at least good. Question now is, can we get Ocon as well? That's going to be probably a bit of a harder ask, honestly. Because we are on final lap, I think. Maybe not. Verstappen just started final lap, so we are far enough behind that we have still one more lap after this. So it's kind of hard to, you know, judge at this point. But that means we should have a very good chance of getting Ocon now. And he gets it done. So a little bit of a recovery drive here, but one that he has done fairly well. We had a few more laps to play with. We might have even gotten more, honestly. But the tires wouldn't have, you know, agreed to that. So maybe be happy with what we have rather than hoping for more. But yeah. Bit of a shame. This could have been Hulkenberg's podium. But excuse me, but the fact that both of our drivers had issues and we still managed to secure 4th and 8th, I think we're going to have to be happy with that. And it does bode well for Monaco because we're getting a front wing, we are getting a suspension most likely, I think, I can hope at least. And we might end up rushing a little bit on the manufacturing side of things. But if we qualify as well as we did here, it's looking very, very good. And as you can see here, 15.2 as Hulkenberg's best time. Good, almost 3 seconds quicker than Alonso's best time. Now, Verstappen was just a monster here, 20 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, but Magnussen wasn't too far off here. If he didn't have that lockup, the underflow damage, he probably would have gotten a podium here. With that said, that moved Magnussen up to 7th, Hulkenberg moves up to 10th, and for us, we get a bit closer to Mercedes, and also Aston Martin for that matter. Past the pit stops here, we have 2.691 as our best, but yeah, we're not going to be going for the pit stop championship this year. We're just going to want to minimize our chance of making errors, I think, for the most part. And we're just going to have to eat those extra 10s that would take getting pit stops done. It's just going to have to be how it is, but I was definitely too conservative with saying that both cars would not make Q3, so we're definitely going to be putting that in for next race. Front wing design has been completed, and we are, of course, going to be manufacturing it immediately. But as you can see, it's going to take 7 days for us to get one done. If we rush it, we can get one done for Monaco, and we are going to do that. Because, again, it is very, you know, good to do so. But because of the, you know, the factory issues here, we're just struggling to get parts made at any given time. And that is a bit of a problem. The suspension for sure we're not getting done. It's just not gonna get made. There's just no way we're pulling that off. And we can actually have a look at what that suspension looks like. It would be a small increase here, but definitely car 2 here would definitely benefit more from it. We're not really running a decent suspension there by the looks of things. Might even be missing. So we'll have to wait a little bit before we make this one, but it is a small upgrade that we would, of course, like to have. And now we can actually put that on both cars. Installing car 1. Because of damage here, we are actually falling behind right now on parts, and that is actually a bit bigger of a concern. So getting the factory upgraded 1 more level is definitely going to be important. Front wing suspension. I want to have a look at that front wing again. But that's the suspension. So the front wing here is going to be, again, a fairly massive increase. Brake cooling at dirty air tolerance, even a lot of low-speed cornering ability. So definitely important here. And I might just emergency manufacture one for the second car. It's going to cost us about $1 million. But I think it might be worth it for this race. That's the thing. And the question now becomes the question that we had earlier. Do we want to work on designs? Or do we want to just go all in on getting some preparation for next year? Because we could make parts like this that are very small increases. Or we could go ahead and do a research, which would be, again, the same kind of increases, but without even maximizing sliders. We can actually move the sliders around to get the results that we want. And again, we don't need to make parts for this. That's the thing too. So it's a bit of a difficult choice, but I think what we're going to do is just do research for the rest of the year. We'll just have to try and compete with the car that we have. The upgrades aren't going to be anything massive, so we'll deal with that as we go. With that said, I think we're going to be putting the first safety period into the suspension. I think that is going to be our best bet. Get some of that cornering ability up, get some brake cooling, get some airflow, and we are going to sacrifice drag reduction to make it happen. We are going to sacrifice high-speed cornering, we're going to maximize these 4 with 2 minimized. And even then, we're getting decent gains across the board here. 0.35, 14 for 6.5% of brake cooling, a little bit of top speed gain. Of course, we could increase the, the high speed one, but I don't feel like that is worth it here. We want to focus on low speed and maybe just a little bit less medium speed. Because again, even if we put the sliders to the maximum, we don't get a lot more. So do something like this. I think that should be fine. We'll have a look at the board later and see where we're at actually with the gains, but we are going to focus low speed on the suspension. And we'll have to see how we do in the future in terms of CFD periods. I definitely want to put one in the underfloor, one in the front wing, maybe one in the rear wing. Excuse me, but that is, again, something that is kind of hard to judge here. So for now, let's focus on getting the cornering up, the airflow front, and we are going to sacrifice these 2 for this research. We're probably going to have to run 3 or 4 projects like this to get, most of the stats back. But I think that's going to be worth it for next year. So I was tinkering with the idea of running 2 designs, 2 researches, but we're just going to go into full research mode now. We have a car that is fairly competitive, that can probably eke out a win here and there, honestly, when we don't have incidents. And that is really all I can ask for. Now, we will have a look once we get to the manufacturing side of things here, if we want to rush another front wing. Emergency manufacture, that is. Or, if we want to go ahead and, play a little bit safer. Because as you can see, it takes 15 days to make 1 suspension here. And the reason for that is because we have, race weekends coming up against each other. In this case, we have... Monaco, Barcelona, and because of the way that this is set up, they basically end up inside each other. We can only use basically these 2 days making parts, which is a really, really big problem here. Pit crew is also exhausted, so we'll have to deal with that. Apparently, the more pit stops you do, the more exhaustion they do take, by the looks of things. So, I think they need to lessen the amount of exhaustion you get from pit stops. I do need to go and have a look at what the plan is. The plan is to just rest, so hopefully we'll be fine, but looking at this, we might not be. So yeah, this is worrisome, because as you can see here, we were already exhausted last race, but we didn't have any errors. So again, I don't think this one is accurately telling us the real chances, and that is a little bit problematic. Because if we had a 64% chance with 6 pit stops, odds that we don't hit that is pretty low. Or rather 5 pit stops, but even then, again, the odds are pretty low. Okay, we did need to get the manufacturing going. I'm getting distracted again. We're just going to make 2 suspensions for now. We are going to have to make other things, of course, but I think that is going to be the play. We could, of course, also emergency manufacture. But I think we're just going to make them normal. Even then, we're not getting any of these done before the next race. Or maybe 1. Yeah, we can get 1 done before Barcelona. So, let's go ahead and pay that extra money for rushing. Generally, I don't like doing that, but we kind of have to here. And I think I am going to get an emergency manufactured front wing. Just so we can be a little bit competitive here in Monaco, which is going to be a good chance for us. We're also going to go ahead here and upgrade the helipad. And we are going to go to the part. We are going to manufacture. We're going to go ahead and emergency manufacture 1 part. And as you can see here, this is going to cost us a nifty 900,000. So don't do this a lot. But I want to do it here because it makes it somewhat competitive. And we are going to have to just make 2 more front wings. It's just going to have to be how it is. We're running out of parts at this stage. And that is actually a very big concern. I didn't think the sponsorships that Haas had would put us into that bad of a hole in terms of dealing with components, but it definitely has. And luckily enough, we are going to have, I believe, a little bit of a break after Barcelona. Just a week, but then a week for this one, and then a free week as well. So hopefully after Barcelona here, we can catch up on some parts, same here. And we'll have to take a quick look here on when we get that 4th slot, because this 4th slot is going to be massive. It's going to take us 3 months still, so yeah, we definitely have some work ahead of us. For now, though, we're going to go ahead here and get race prep done for Monaco. It is very unfortunate that we had those incidents, though. It is just what it is. And I'm going to gamble on one car in the top 5. We're going to go all in here. Both cars in Q2 and both cars in Q3. And that's going to be the hope here. But now, though, we'll jump into Monaco and we'll see how we perform. But honestly, before that, let's have a look at how the car looks now with that new front wing. Because again, this is a pretty decent brake cooling increase. It's also a dirty air increase, low speed cornering. It's a pretty good upgrade overall. But yeah, we don't really have any reserve parts anymore. We have a real lack of parts if we get damaged. We're going to have to emergency manufacture, which is going to be rather expensive. However, the car now is looking really good. I think the only thing we're behind now in cornering is going to be the Red Bull. Yeah, we're behind the Red Bull on the medium and high speed. Is it the Ferrari that has us on the... Nope, the Aston? Yeah, it's the Aston has on the low speed corners, but that is actually not a concern. We should be ahead of them. So, the car, looking fairly good already. Definitely. There was something else, but I can't remember it right now, so... We'll take it, we'll deal with it, but, yeah. Cooling now looking good, dirty air's gotten a little bit better. We'll see how we do this race weekend, because again, we're going with a very aggressive strategy. So hopefully, we can make something good happen. Did want to tell you a little bit before we start this, just quickly, that you should try and use every single component in just a little bit. In this case, I've actually used them a little bit more than anticipated. But also, once you start getting these yellow components, make sure that you use them for practice. It's something that you should use. Use them for practice until they run down to 0. There's no real negative benefit of doing, negative consequences of doing so. So just use them up completely before you start using other parts. Make sure you use anything that is not yellow in races, and you'll be good. Qualifying has just concluded for Monaco. As you can see here, we qualified 4th and 6th. But if we have a look at the timing here, particularly for Hulkenberg and Magnus for that matter, it's just a couple of tenths up to 2nd place. So we were fairly close here in getting something done. We're still ahead of Aston, we're still ahead of Merc, but in this instance we were kind of bested by Red Bull and Ferrari. Excuse me. But it's not all bad. This should give us a fairly interesting chance for the race itself. Monaco is a place where it's hard to overtake. 310 difference between the soft and the medium, 15 laps of advantage, about almost 4 tenths difference between the medium and the hard, well, not even that, 3.5, and that kind of gives us the same thing. So every tire here is kind of just as good to some degree. Now, what we're going to do here, what most AI is probably going to do, is going to be something similar to this, but what we're going to choose to do instead is to test that error chance for 1 by doing a very aggressive strategy, which also takes advantage of the soft tire in order to get overtakes done towards the end of the race. It is actually really effective to do so, honestly. Now, the main thing here is, of course, going to be where are we after this soft medium stint, because if we get traffic when we pit, that's going to put us into a really bad spot. But this is probably the best strategy that we have available to us, and if degradation is higher, this final soft stint, we can just switch over to an aggressive one rather than a full attack one. And even then, I think it's going to be the best strategy that we have available to us here. This has worked for me plenty of times in the past, so it's not really a bad strategy to use here. And with that, I think we're ready to jump into the race. Quality here didn't go as, great as we hoped, but 4th and 6th is still not a bad place to start here, and we can probably, hopefully, get some early jumps going. Let's see how this goes.
The streets of Monte Carlo are ready as the drivers prepare for the 78 laps of the... We're here and the streets are abuzz at the Monaco Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
Looks like an alright start there, although not the best maybe. Magnussen there, Alonso. Oh, that's going to be a red flag.
It's red flag.
That's the front wing of Magnussen gone, for sure. But that is a lot of damage for the Ferrari and the Aston.
Here we go, heading into turn 1. Oh,
The question here becomes, was Magnussen
And that's
complicit
not
there?
what they
Because
would
it
have
looked
had
like
in mind
something
when they
tapped
woke
the
up this
Aston on the
morning.
left and then Magnussen got hit.
And while all
So this is going to be a bit of a weird one. Did it say Magnussen was out? Yeah, he's out. Car 1 has terminal damage to multiple parts. Okay. I really would like to know which parts has received terminal damage. That would have been nice. I would assume the suspension, maybe? It was a pretty hefty whack. But yeah, this makes this race a lot more interesting.
away as the race continues.
So hard tires on both the Red Bulls.
And it's lights out, and away we go.
Magnussen did eat the penalty too, so that's a bit unfortunate. At least a clean restart. We'll have to try and move our way forwards, of course, during this one. Tsunoda up in 6 now. Albon up in 8. Penalty 10 seconds. So Magnussen, ate everything there. How many penalties did he get? Because that now has gone 4 times. Events. Penalty, major collision cost. Okay, undefined. Well, we'll have to deal with that then. So they're actually still in the same tire. Russell switched. Okay. Still going to be a fairly interesting affair, this, I think. But I am worried for Magnussen, because I know that front wing is done. Suspension is probably done too, maybe even chassis. So, yeah, it's not going to be good. Sainz and Alonso both had most likely engine failures, which isn't going to be great for them. But even then, this is not looking like it's going to be good. It's probably going to be very expensive. For now, though, we're going to keep on working with Hulkenberg here. 4th place is not a bad place to be. He is leaving Russell behind. And hopefully here we can get by, Leclerc fairly quick. And get ourselves up into a bit of a position where we might be able to fight the Red Bulls. We'll have to see, though. For now, though, we'll keep on pushing. And we'll try and make our way past them sometime soon. We've had an incident here with Bottas. I think he'll be able to continue. Didn't seem to be a pretty too hard of a hit. We have been trying to kind of wrestle Leclerc here, but it's just a DRS train behind these Red Bulls, which is making it really difficult. Let's just put it like that.
Okay, back off. Copy.
Leclerc is getting a lot of help from that, but at least the gaps are starting to form. Tsunoda doing a very good job of being kind of a roadblock here, and that is definitely helping our case. For now, though, we're just going to keep on pushing, try and get back into, touch with the car in front, which I think we'll be able to. And hopefully once we pit, we can actually jump them in the pit stops here. I think that's going to be our best bet in terms of getting something out of this race. We are getting increasingly close to that first pit window. As we can see with Hulkenberg, he's currently running in 4th. He's a few seconds behind Leclerc. But the gaps here are big enough now that when we pit, we're going to come out behind Stroll. Unsurprisingly, but we're going to come out ahead of Russell, and that's going to be pretty big for our strategy. Now we are going to do one more lap here, just get use everything that we can here in terms of these tires, and that should be a-okay. Now we are going to have to make up basically 3-4 seconds then when we pit, and we have to try and get out ahead of Leclerc and Perez, or rather catch up to them so that we beat them out when they do pit themselves. And that is going to be the play here. But that shouldn't actually be an issue. Let's see how this pit stop goes. And Stroll actually pitted. So that means that we should pit here and not lose anything in terms of position. So this is actually beautiful. We can push. We are not going to be losing any time behind another car. And that is that's awesome news for us. Because that means we are going to have a very, very easy time here. In terms of trying to close up to Leclerc. Trying to close up to Perez enough that we get out ahead of them when they do pit. So we'll keep on working as we are, and we'll see where we're at once they end up doing their pit stops. Unfortunately for us, Leclerc opted to pit just about now, so we haven't actually come out ahead of him. On the flip side, he has gone onto a soft tire, so potentially he could work as a bit of a pulley here. And funnily enough, if we overtake him, that would probably be the best way for us to destroy his tires completely. But it took a little bit of a while to get these tires up to temperature, and that has been a bit of a problem. I think Leclerc is going to pull away from us again because of the fact that he is on a soft tire, and he kind of is. But he is also going to have to pit again with this strategy. And what's going to happen here is that we're going to have the better tire towards the end of the race, but we're going to have to do the overtake. So it's a little bit of a, this might work out, it might not work out situation. We'll have to see once we get to our final pit stop. For now, though, we are within Perez's window, so when he pits, we should come out ahead of him at the very least. We've had another incident on track here. This time it's De Vries. At least he's off the track there, so that shouldn't be a red flag. But yeah, bit of an unfortunate incident. Now, we actually are in a pretty good position right now, because as you can see, we're just 10 seconds behind Verstappen. We are 7 seconds behind Perez and Leclerc. But more importantly, neither of these have pitted yet. They're going for the one-stopper, I'm pretty sure. And with Leclerc here, things are going to be even more interesting. We also have a pit stop gap here. Basically, we are a pit stop safe of Stroll. So we are really, really free right now in terms of what strategies we want to employ. We can do anything that we want. And as such, we're just going to keep on pushing these hard tires as much as we can. Perez holding up Leclerc is actually gold for us, because that means Leclerc is using the quick soft tires, basically spending them for no gain behind Perez. So currently looking really, really good. And if we can close down that gap, that would be, massive. But looks like they're getting a little bit of DRS help from, overtaking back markers. We're probably going to end up losing a bunch of time. But even so, this is a great position to be in for our team. We have a virtual safety car, and that does put a bit of a damper on things. Hamilton is out. And here we kind of have to make a bit of a decision. In terms of our pit stops, I think Hamilton... Oh yeah, that is unfortunate. But that does, as I said, give us a bit of a problem here to deal with, because we're currently running third. We have about a 10-second gap to Perez. And in terms of how much do we gain from a pit stop under these conditions, we just gained 4 seconds. So rather than pitting again and running the softs on a non-optimal configuration, so to speak, I think the best thing that we can do right now is just stay out. We're going to stay out, and it should still be fine. Verstappen here gets a free pit stop, but honestly, he's not part of our... He's not someone that we're looking to fight, so it's not really a big deal. We do jump him, though, in the pits. And again here, the goal here is going to be to get Leclerc. Honestly, he should really pit under this safety car, but I don't know what tires he have left. Let's have a quick look at that. Tire history for Leclerc. So he only has a hard tire, or unless he's planning on going on another soft. So it's a bit of a hard one to guess, but right now I think we are going to be happy where we are. Verstappen went on to a fresh soft. He's going to be kind of pushing. Potentially here we could use Verstappen as a bit of a pulley, but we're just going to stay out and play our own game. The goal here is going to be to try and snatch a podium from one of these three, or taking advantage of their misfortune. But for now, we're just going to stay out. We're going to be pushing fuel. We're going to be pushing these tires a little bit, and we'll be pitting onto softs once we get a little bit further into this. I expect both Verstappen and Perez to catch up to us and probably overtake us. We could try and slow them down, go always defend, but that would compromise our gaps down to Stroll and Russell, so don't really want to do that. We're just going to keep on pushing and see if we can make something out of this race. We've just been overtaken by Perez. We also have Leclerc not too far behind. He has pitted onto another set of softs. And this is basically when we're going to be pitting onto his soft tire as well. We are probably going to be running far more aggressive than anyone else. But we are going to have to make up 17 seconds in, 20... No, not even that. 18 laps. So this is going to be a little bit nerve-wracking, if you will. But we are going to pit, get those old hard tires off. Decent pit stop, no error. But unsurprisingly, Leclerc is out ahead of us. So we'll have to try and chase him down. It's going to be difficult. But even if we, only secure a 4th place here, I'd say that is acceptable. For now, though, we'll get the tires up to temp. And then we'll have a look and see if we, gain or lose time compared to the cars in front. And if maybe, just maybe, we can, say, snatch the fastest lap. So we'll try and do that probably on the next lap. We'll have to see. But 13 seconds now, down to Leclerc. Potentially here we could catch him, give him another taste of the Monaco curse. But we'll have to see here. Now, doing fastest lap while being stuck by another cars is probably not recommended, but we'll see if we can improve that lap that we just did. Push a little bit of fuel. And again, a little bit late there to push fuel, but it should improve the lap time. And it should give us a chance here to close up to Leclerc, which is kind of what we're banking for here. So we'll try and see if we can catch him and get by him. There is currently about 10 laps to go. We are not too far behind now, 5 seconds, well, 8 laps to go. So it does look very likely that we'll catch Leclerc. Our tires are going to be pretty much gone by the time we catch him though, and that is going to be part of the concern. But for the last few laps here, we have been gaining, although Leclerc now is pushing 2. And that is going to be a bit of a problematic thing for us. We are not really gaining anymore. So we'll have to see here. If Leclerc pushes now till the end, he can do that. We're on the same tire wear. So while it's going to be a challenge, we'll still try and catch him. Unfortunately for us, Leclerc has really started pushing now. And he's been opening up the gap more, which might be seen as a little bit unfavorable, but it is what it is. We're still securely in 4th here. If we really wanted to, we could probably have pitted once again, put on another set of softs to just get the fastest lap for sure. But I'm pretty sure that we have it under the, under control. So we'll go ahead here and just roll in for 4th place, which is not bad, don't get me wrong. But it is a bit of a shame that both races here, where we had great results, well, great chances, kind of got marred by driver errors. Hülkenberg here securing 4th in Monaco with 50 seconds down to Stroll. And then another 50 seconds down to Russell is nothing short of insanity. But yeah, we'll definitely take that. Fastest lap, 4th place, good haul of points. But the fact that up to 10th place they got lapped twice is... it's not great, let's be honest. Russell in 6th, Mercedes also crashed out. Gives us a bit of benefit, same here with Stroll. So we are catching up to the cars in front, with the exception of the top 2, at the very least. So yeah, Verstappen is probably going to be, untouchable though. That's going to be a little bit of an issue. But we are getting close to Merc. We're getting close to Aston. Not really to Ferrari, but potentially our fight for 3rd could be on the cards. I am scared though, because I think potentially a Magnussen might have wrecked the car more than I hope. So we will go ahead and have a look at the damage done, so to speak. And while we have a look at that, Tour Center, Race Sim, both of those have been upgraded. Let's have a look at the car damage here. And it's not that bad, let's be honest. They both use about the same piece of kit. So suspension, front wing, chassis has been destroyed. That's understandable. That's kind of what we expected. Basically, he's out because he had major damage to, I would assume, suspension. Front wing was destroyed, wasn't a big surprise. Chassis is going to be an issue, though, because we have Spain in 4 days. So, as a result of this, Magnus is probably going to have to run a lower spec car than Hülkenberg. But this is not as bad as we feared at all. We'll take that. Tour Center Race Sim, we went through those. They have been upgraded. And as you can see here, we are going to have to put on a, wrong spec a lot of things here. Sorry, that should be on car 2, that should be on car 1. And yeah, this is gonna suck for Magnus the next race. But again, Spanish Grand Prix is it's probably my weakest Grand Prix in this game because you can't use a very aggressive strategy. So we'll take that as a bit of a wash away probably, but that should be fine. We're on round 8. Red Bull has secured almost 300 points already. So this is pretty wild, let's put it like that. Again, bit of unfortunate there for Hülkenberg, bit of unfortunate for Magnussen. I think over the last 2 races, if we had both cars in it, we probably could have snatched a podium. And particularly here at Monaco, because if we really needed to, we'd take the car with least chance and just have it run always defensive. Because that slows down lap times by a good 2 seconds. And if you can keep that up for just 5 laps even, or just turn it off on the straight, you can basically force a win as long as you beat them on the first pit stop. So, or rather, if you pit early, and once they pit, you're ahead of them. Make something like that happen could definitely work. But yeah, we'll have a look at the car development facilities here. We have a little bit of money. I was a bit fearful of upgrading anything in case they, destroyed more than we anticipated, but they didn't. And we're going to go ahead and just upgrade the tour center again. And I think we want to upgrade the race sim as well. It's not super expensive, so we can go ahead and do that. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to next season when we can get rid of that. Hopefully get rid of some of these, factory regulations, because they are really, really painful to deal with. And we are going to get some pieces in 2 days, front wing, rear wing suspension. So potentially Magnussen could be running just a chassis come Spain. So let's speed things up here. See where the crew is looking at that part. We still have a pit crew exhausted. I don't know if it's kind of a bug. It feels like it's kind of a bug, but it's kind of hard to judge. But it is what it is. For now, though, we are going to go ahead here and start the manufacturing of a couple of chassis. It's going to take us a month, but yeah, we don't really have any choice. If we rush it, it's going to cost, we're going to save 6 days, but it's going to cost us a lot of money. So we're just going to have to live with our poor choices there, I think. For now, though, let's speed things along here, and we'll have a look at where we stand before the Spanish GP. Car development report. Again, this is from Car 1's performance. We don't have the best parts on right now, so these stats are kind of unreliable due to that. We'll have a look at this before we do Spain. Driver development, cornering and adaptability for Magnussen. Accuracy for Hulkenberg. But yeah, they have a lot of media appearances, so they're going to level up really, really slowly due to that. If you remember earlier, we had, I think it's 15 for one, 16 for the other. So, yeah, that's not great. And for the pit stop crew here, yeah, 100% exhaustion. We're going to have to let them rest until we get to Canada at this stage. There's just no way around it. Put in a couple of pit stop time drills, but even then, these are barely doing anything in terms of getting the times down. Just want to have a little bit of practice. We can put in a couple more. So let's do some gym training before the weekend, and we'll do something like this. And this should be fine enough for Austria. Although, again, it does make sense that they're this exhausted. And then they're all fine again a little bit later. It just doesn't seem to follow any rhyme or reason, but it could just be that we're giving them break days every now and again. So I'll have to have a look at this sometime later and figure out how the new system works. But we're going to have a little bit slower pit stops. Error chance is going to go down. Or maybe not, because as you can see, we're actually losing stats. So, yeah, the pit crews right now, they're rough to deal with, honestly. So definitely going to have to take a look at that at one point as well in the near future. Alright. Let us have a look at what we can put together here now for Magnussen's car. Of course, he's not going to get a chassis. We are going to give him a front wing, though. The rear wings are good. The side pods are good. The underfloors are good, although we need to make more. We have the new suspension, which I'm actually going to put on Hulkenberg's car, because he's going to have the best chance. And we're going to give Magnussen that new suspension. So, well, Hulkenberg's old suspension. And if we have a look at the car analysis now, the other teams have definitely started development. We have fallen down to 7th and 8th. This is still the 4th best team in terms of cornering, so it's not shabby by any means of the imagination. But the other teams have definitely developed and caught up to us. So we'll probably be falling down the order towards the end of the season, which is why it was so unfortunate that these last 2 races have been, driver errors, that red flag. It is what it is. We'll just have to deal with it. But we're going to be ending today's Haas hard challenge here. It's still been fairly lengthy, but as you can probably hear from my coughing and wheezing, that my voice is starting to more and more give in. So hopefully I'll be back tomorrow. But I've been enjoying today's session, although it's been a little bit frustrating. Hope to see you all next time. If you have enjoyed this, please like, subscribe if you haven't. It helps me out a lot. Thank you very much. And yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.